Good morning, afternoon, evening, or nighttime, wherever and whenever you may be watching. Thanks for clicking and joining me today to talk about Wales Perfumery, which I'm a bit excited to talk about because I'm born and bred in Wales. I wish I could do this introduction in Welsh, but dwi ddim yn siarad Cymraeg, which means I don't speak Welsh. That's literally the only thing I can say. So to touch on the company just a bit, Wales Perfumery, they are based in Monmouthshire, which is kind of like more South Wales, where I'm West Wales in Aberystwyth. But yeah, check out their website. I'll leave it in the description. They've got a beautiful studio, I guess, workshop where you can book to create bespoke fragrances. I think you can make candles. And they also do now have 3 fragrances: Coast, Country, and Forest. I bought the sample pack, which was £24, which is a bit steep for 3 samples. But their fragrance bottles come in the sizes of 30 mils, which I think is £54, and 50 mils, which is £81. So obviously you need to charge a little bit more for the samples because otherwise people would just buy loads of samples. Anyway, let's get into the 3 fragrances. As I mentioned earlier, I am excited to talk about this house because they're from Wales, but I am also excited because they do what I love with perfume. They have released 3 fragrances that they're saying they think smells like what they've called it. You know, we think this smells like a forest or the countryside or a coastline. So many designer fragrances will say, it smells like power, it smells like success. And to me, that's really up for interpretation. But these 3 fragrances, they're going for what they're called. So I've had a good few wears out of each of them, so I can give my ideas on projection, longevity, and ultimately what they smell like. The first one up is Forest. Okay, these are 2 ml samples. They are spray samples, which are nice instead of dabbers. So Forest for me doesn't put me in the mind of a forest, if I'm being honest. But what I will say is I think this is the most mass appealing out of the 3. Straight away, you were hit with a warmth and a sweetness, in my opinion. Not like it's not like super warm. It's not like a winter warmer, like a strong, like boozy or dark sort of. It's not dark like that, but it's just warm. It almost smells sunny, if that makes sense. But I don't get a forest vibe from this. As I said, I think it's going to be mass appealing. It just it reminds me of a sweet fragrance, not like typically designer sweet. It's not like bubblegum sweetness. But it's not very forest-like to me. Let's have a look at the notes. So the notes in Forest are ambrette seed, fir needle, saffron, sandalwood, cedar, vetiver, and patchouli. I think the sweetness for me is coming from the ambrette seed. I'm not too familiar with ambrette and what it should smell like, but when I've smelled it in other perfumes, they also tend to be sweet perfumes. I think ambrette is kind of like a rich, musky scent, which sometimes can go in a slight animalistic way, but it's not doing that with this. What I am happy about is it does say fir needle, and when I've encountered fragrances before which say fir or pine or things like that, it tends to be quite old school, quite like Fougere, things like that, and this isn't that either. It's ultimately a sweet fragrance to me. Like it almost smells like vanilla, but that's not listed. With longevity, it lasts a long time. As it goes on, it just seems to get a bit warmer on the skin, and it dries down to almost something reminiscent of kind of like a Dior Sauvage or Prada Luna Rosa Carbon, like a very slight ambroxany, musky sort of thing going on. It's really nice. It's mass appealing. I think it'll be the most successful of the 3 for the general public as such, but to me it doesn't smell that much like a forest, or a forest that I'm used to. Next up we have Country by Wales Perfumery. This one I went on a bit of a journey with because when I first smelled it I wasn't mad crazy about it. I acknowledge that it did remind me of going for like a walk in the countryside, and then after a few wear-ins I really started to like it. I do like this one a lot. It is floral. Out of the 3, this one is leaning perhaps a touch more on the feminine side, but it's not like a typical full-on feminine fragrance. I'd happily wear this. Really, really nice. I will say out of the three, at least on my skin, the performance of this one is lacking the most. As I said, Forest lasts a long time, nearly a whole day on me, and obviously we'll talk about Coast next, but this, it seems to fade quite quickly. But then again, perhaps some people would prefer to wear this one because of the floral notes in hotter weather, and obviously you don't want a fragrance to be super long lasting, super choking you out on a hot day. Let's have a look at the notes. So in country, you've got petitgrain, neroli, narcissus, water, cut grass, and vetiver. I think there may also be soft woods in there. But yeah, petitgrain, neroli, water, and cut grass. So already that's telling me that they're thinking of like a countryside walk on a spring day, or on a day where there's been like a little shower of rain and there's still dew on the grass. And total honesty, I've 100%, I'm a postman, so I get out and about, I'm walking a lot. I 100% have smelled this sort of scent before, just in nature, which is really, really nice and really well done of the company to proper encapsulate that. I don't know exactly what it is I'm smelling. I guess the narcissus and the petitgrain, because they're and the neroli, of course, is the main floral notes. This is really nice to me because I actually suffer from hay fever. And as much as I love the smell of nature and flowers and spring and to a certain extent cut grass, I can't really enjoy it properly because I'll then be sniffing and sneezing and all the things that comes with that. Whereas with this, I can smell the joys of spring without having hay fever, which is great. So I really like it. I think it does match with the countryside. It doesn't last all that long, but it's just a beautiful, fresh fragrance. Wonderful stuff. And finally, of the three fragrances, we have Coast. I'm saving my favorite to last. I really, really like this. Again, went on a bit of a journey with this one. It's great. It's exactly what I love in perfume. My favorite fragrance of all time is Every Storm a Serenade by Imaginary Authors. And this, to me, is quite similar. If you're not familiar with that one, you've also got Oud Mineral by Tom Ford. And to a certain extent, there's a touch of something like Light Blue by Dolce & Gabbana. Ultimately, it's a fresh, aquatic scent that's sort of got a salty undertone. And it's just my favorite kind of smell. So for me, this works really well. There's driftwood in the base of this, which I do pick up on. It reminds me of sort of like a driftwood or that sort of candle sort of vibe. But there are some citrus notes at the top as well, which do come through. So let's have a look at the notes. In this one, you've got lemon, mandarin, lime, seaweed, ozonic accord, amber, and driftwood. So the reason I like this so much as well, a lot like country, is because this does put me in the mind of a Welsh coastline. As I said, I live in Aberystwyth, which is a coastal, it's a seaside town. And, you get loads of fragrances which say they smell like the seaside. And obviously they're going for sort of like that fresh, tropical, proper sunny sort of day. This, to me, again, puts me in the mind of Every Storm a Serenade or Oud Mineral, in that it's a bit more rough and rugged. It's more waves crashing alongside rocks. Maybe it's a misty or a foggy day. It's really, really great stuff. The ozonic accord is there, the seaweed giving it that bit of saltiness, and the driftwood as well, giving it that underlying freshness. Driftwood to me is kind of like if clean cotton and cedarwood, that sort of smell together. I really, really love this. The mandarin, this is where it does differ a bit to something like Every Storm Serenade or whatnot. The mandarin is there throughout. It just leaves a tinge of sweetness throughout the fragrance. I don't get much lime, but the mandarin gives it a sweetness. The performance on this one is really good as well. This lasted pretty much all day. The only thing that happens is it just gets slightly warmer and saltier like that, which I guess is a result of it mixing with your skin chemistry, salty skin. But yeah, Coast is my favorite. And there it is, guys and girls, my take on the three fragrances by Wales Perfumery. Check them out. I'll leave the link in the description. I think it's a very exciting company. If you've tried them, if you've been to their workshop, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you on the next one. Peace.